So good evening, everyone. Welcome to Satsang. So good to have you all here. And so the moment is however it's appearing. So if your mind is busy, thoughts are busy, then that's just what's happening. It's not right, it's not wrong. If your mind is quiet, it's just what's happening. It's not right, it's not wrong. So the me is taken for granted. We all assume we're this me. And as soon as I'm this me, I have a lot of complaints about this moment. Because the me has an idea of what this moment needs to be like for it to be happy. And you might notice there's no freedom in that. There's no freedom in being dragged around by this me. Have you noticed that? No freedom in being a me?
Hey, Michael, can you let Amy in?
Yes. Thank you. Hi, Amy. Sorry I didn't see you. My apologies. Oh, Yoon's here too. Okay, good. Good things come in pairs. There we go. So at Satsang, we're taking a real look if we're this me or not. Because if you're a me, then you need control. But there is no control. There's just what's happening. And it's not happening to anyone. That's the dream of separation. It's happening to me. So I take myself to be real, and then I take everything that happens to it as real as well. And that's suffering because it's erroneous. It's taking something to be real that isn't. You've never been a me. Now that is some fair dinkum, huh, Diane? You've never been a me. That's a Australian term I learned, means genuine. Fair dinkum means genuine. The me is never relaxed. It's always trying to get something incessantly because it's got a narrative. It's got my story, and I want a good story. So I got to work hard. And of course, without a me, there's no owner. I mean, who owns your thoughts? Who owns your feelings? Who owns your body? Who owns anything? Can you find an owner anywhere?
Um, may I jump in?
Yeah, hi, Yoon, please.
Hi, Michael. Hi, everyone. So there isn't an owner because an owner is a subject. There is, right? So there isn't, nobody owns anything.
Yeah, yeah.
And that, and for our thinking mind to think about a subject like an owner, we have to put it as, say, Yun, say Michael, say Dan, right? We have to put it in the name and form. And right, like our non-dualism does not have a subject or an object. So that's why there isn't technically a owner.
Yeah, and it's much more magical when it's not a me trying to make everything happen. The me, thinking you're a me, kills the aliveness. It makes this moment feel stale. Oh, I know what this is. Oh, it's just my apartment. No, you don't know what this is. Holy crap. Are you kidding me? Okay, fine. Explain to me how this moment's happening. Go ahead. Somebody unmute yourself and explain to me how this is all happening. Because I ain't got a friggin' clue. And your me may think it has a clue, but I'm telling you, nobody has a clue how this is happening. It's a complete and total mystery. And the sooner you see that, the more the celebration can begin. Because all this time you've been trying to micromanage something that is uncontrollable. So feel free to unmute yourself. If you have any comments or questions, we'd love to hear from you. And really, let's use this time. This is the time to get your questions answered. You can disagree, you can argue, you can, stand your ground. And Michael, yeah, oh, here we go.
I have something to say. So it's just hard to watch Ron suffer so much. And then I get into like, should he be able to detach from the physical pain? You know what I mean? Like, and then, I get into, no, like, I think I'd be pretty in my me if I was in as much pain and shredded and everything that he's gone through. It's just like, that's where my big butt comes up. Like, I know that, like, last night I was definitely caught in his story, and, and today I'm not. And so for this view, it's certainly easier when I'm not. But it's just, I wish, like, I wish, I don't know. I just think physical suffering, how do you stay enlightened or whatever?
Yeah, so we should get into this, Amy, because this is not a panacea. This is not awakening. This is not liberation, whatever you want to call it, is not a panacea to make all your troubles and worries and pains go away. Again, there's only what's arising. So if excruciating pain is arising, then that is what is.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, it's not your pain. It's not personal in any way, shape, or form. And the suffering is the story. This shouldn't be happening. I don't like it. That's all additional. Whatever is going on, and that's what could be what's happening too. So you could be in the moment not liking it. Guess what? That's just what's happening. It's not wrong and it's not right, because there's only what's happening. Do you guys see that? There's no room in the moment for anything else but what's happening.
Right, including being attached.
Yeah. So everything else but what's happening is what I call a theoretical. So what's happening is literally what's happening. If you're scratching your forehead, that's what's happening. If you're taking a breath, if you're coughing, if you're turning in your seat, there's something that's doing all of this. And we're not doing it. And the illusion that we have control is our suffering.
Yeah, it's sort of like wanting a Santa Claus God that's only going to like deliver the goodies, as opposed to like a God that just takes you through the storm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the me feels separate. So it says, I'm here, and then there's life. That's two. That doesn't feel good, because you're not separate from life. Nothing is separate from life. Separation is an illusion. I know you've heard that before. But the me's whole existence is based on you somehow in the belief of separation, that it's possible to be separate. Because once it's, without separation, there's just everything. So this is nothing appearing as everything. It's nothing as the screen. It's nothing as your body. It's nothing as the room you're in. It's nothing as the sound of my voice. This is nothing literally appearing as everything.
Just want to make a comment. I don't know if it's totally relevant, but do you know who Stephen Levine is? He worked with people her dying. That was his main focus. And his wife got very, very sick, and she was in pain all the time, all the time. And somehow he joined her in that pain. He just became, instead of resisting and trying to fix her, and he just became so immersed in her pain that they were both just immersed in the pain.
Yeah.
I don't know how that relates to non-duality, but it seems to have.
No, Joyce, because you're talking about being with the pain instead of rejecting it, instead of saying you shouldn't be here, pain. Pain doesn't, see guys, here's the thing. Pain doesn't give a damn about your story.
Right. He actually took on some of it and helped her in the process. I think he loved her so much. And, you know, I hear that from my husband often, and he really just wants to be heard and loved and accepted and not fixed. And I still occasionally try to fix him. And just, it was like he was giving her that gift by just loving her and becoming one with her and not resisting anything. It's just beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely helps my suffering, you know, from over here when it's much better when I'm in that place for Ron and for me. Just, you know, I can't help but wish that either Ron wasn't in as much pain, or that somehow the pain was, that he was able to be one with the pain. But I don't even know if that's possible. Like, that's my judgment about it.
Yeah, so you don't know. That's the truth. Do you notice how I don't know is so freeing? Because you're not saying you're not taking a position, you see. And that's what satsang's really about, is not, see, the me is position. So the me is always going to argue, because it's going to say I'm right and they're wrong, because it's stuck in a position. But the totality doesn't have a position, because it's all positions and no positions. And the problem for the me is it gets stuck on a particular position, and then it suffers. It's suffering its own beliefs, because things are not any particular way. And this is such a great example, right? Because if I were to ask you a year ago, would you think in your lifetime you'd be living through a pandemic? If I had asked you that a year ago, no way. So the me thinks it knows, and nothing is knowable.
I'm getting tripped up on this election is a big thing in my household, and I don't care. And they're getting pissed off at me that I don't care. I'm in trouble because I don't care who wins.
Okay.
You know, Tweedledee or Tweedledum. It's like, you know, shit's going to happen no matter who wins, but everybody thinks their candidate is going to be the one to solve. And I'm just like, it doesn't matter who wins. It doesn't matter.
Okay. So in this moment, what's the problem? In this moment, guys, stay with this moment. Because one of the ways the me continues to suffer is you won't realize it, but you're reliving a memory. You're going into your mind, and kind of like the picture of the rat on the hamster wheel. You will slip into this memory and it will seem real, and you'll keep spinning. And what you're spinning about, what you're suffering, isn't even happening. It's just a mental story that seems real, almost like a daydream, like you're daydreaming about problems all day long. That's what the me is doing, because it's trying to keep you safe, right? The me is doing its darndest to keep you safe. And it doesn't have a clue how to do it. So it's just basically everything is a threat, and it does its best to deal with the. So can you see there's no peace in being a me other than the fact that it doesn't exist?
So I don't know what to do when people get upset with me because I don't have an opinion one way or the other. I'm like, I can't help you. I don't know what to say. And they're like, then they get pissed. I don't know what to say.
I wouldn't say anything.
Well, I didn't. And then like, you know, I was talking to my girlfriend at dinner tonight and she goes, well, that must frustrate your family that you don't have an opinion about it. I'm like, I don't know.
Well,
That's their problem.
try telling them they don't have a me.
Don't think that would land.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's so great to have this satsang, you guys. This is, think about it. You can't talk about the me being a complete and total illusion anywhere out in public. Look how serious it is. Everybody is so serious.
Yeah, so I like at that point, I can't finish the conversation. I think it's like, I think we're done discussing it because I don't have anything to add.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't know who the better candidate is. I don't know what's going to happen if one or the, I don't know.
But Joan, can you see part of the thing about the me is, see, it wants other people's approval. So if they disagree with us, if they don't like what we're doing, it's now a problem, you see. I posted today about, oh my God, how many comments did I get? Hold on, let me see here. I posted a quote about ownership being an illusion on Facebook. What was I thinking? Oh my God. Well, I got this pink slip to my car that says otherwise. Yes. But it's perfect, right? It's fine. He's not my audience. There's no sales pitch here, guys. This is all right. Brittany, don't start. There's no sales pitch here. Either this resonates with you or it doesn't. So if something in you smells a rat, says, yeah, there's something about believing I know what I am and I'm so sure about that. If something feels off, because when the baby's born, 1 day old, it doesn't have a personality yet. It doesn't have a me yet. So if you think about it, however old, this is kind of mind-blowing if you think about it, right? So let's say we'll just say an example. Someone's 25 years old, right? So we go through our life saying, yeah, I turned 25 today. Well, is that true? Okay, the body's 25 years old, but you didn't really come online till about 18 months when the personality, when you learn the words, was set up. So however old you think you are, subtract about 18 months. So if you're 25, your personality is about 23. So that's when you should start your birthday. It's like cheating. You're counting the body, that extra first 18 months. There was no you. You were just free. Then the me showed up. And now we mistake ourselves to be this me. You see? And then the stories and the layers and the conditioning is like spider web. And story upon story. And pretty soon you can't get out. You're trapped in your own web of stories, and they feel solid and they feel real. And it's not just mental, it's energetic. It's by design. The body is designed to have a sense of a me just for survival. So the body doesn't go walking off a cliff, right? You need to know about this is hot, this is cold, I need air, I need water. You need to learn the basics, but it's just completely run amok. It's like it's decided to become king of the castle. It even thinks it's bigger than God. I know it should be happening this moment. Forget what God wants. I want more money. You guys better donate because I need a lot of money. It's really tough. Do you guys see the absurdity of this? How the me, and is it ever satisfied for long, this me? Do you ever get it, what it wants, and then it goes, okay, I'm good. I'm good. I will not bother you for anything else again. I don't think so. So we have some incredibly smart and, dare I say, good-looking people here at the Satsang. So if you have anything to share, please unmute yourself and jump in. I know some of you have some things to share.
My thought to Joan is to say, to your family, I respect your not having an opinion. Can't you respect me? Your having an opinion. Can't you respect me not having one? It just seems like a reasonable assertion of a boundary, and that's food for thought for them at least, even if they're not going to, even if they're going to charge right over it.
Nice.
Thank you. That's a good one. I seem to have a boundary issue throughout my life, is setting a boundary, and that's a good point. So then, what does my husband say? You're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. And then he starts spouting out facts, and I'm like, oh, geez, here we go again. And I'm like, I think you're just talking to the wrong person. I tell him, I said, like, you need to have this conversation with somebody else because don't want to have it.
I listen to a broad spectrum of like political things and other things, and some of my friends, they would not want to be exposed to evidence from the other side. Good, solid evidence. They don't want to hear that. It gives me pause that these great, intelligent people don't want to hear anything good or whatever about the one they hate. So.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
It's all one-sided, but it's like I heard from one side that their guy was going to win by a landslide. And then I heard from other people on the other side that their person was going to win by a landslide. And I'm like, okay, they both can't win by a landslide. But I'm hearing this and I'm just like.
Yeah, but that's kind of immaterial whether you win by a landslide or not.
But it's their ego. It's like, it's their horse in the race.
Yeah, but if you can adduce facts about somebody who's being presented a certain way and the facts strongly suggest it's not true, an open-minded, intellectually honest person should be amenable to receiving those facts, and they're not.
Not in my house. Not in my house.
Yeah, you got to leave the comedy to Jack. Yeah, that's
not in my house.
The problem is the me is not rational. You guys got to be kidding me. Well, I'm just saying, the me is the opposite of rational. Because again, come back to this moment. The me thinks it's running the show. How much more deluded could you be? I mean, you know, it'd be like you walking into a bank and start giving orders. Okay, I want that teller over here and this one. You can't, what? And so the me is like this little expert on everything. It's got an opinion about everything. And it thinks it's real. And that's the point I want to get across at Satsang, you guys. This is both real and unreal. You got to get that, because the me only takes this as real. And so now if it's real to the me, of course he's going to argue, because you're challenging my reality.
One thought I recently, I heard a friend saying something like, I didn't author this life or something. And the thought occurred to me, would get metaphysical, and I don't think we want to go there, but my thought was, I authored my life, but I didn't authorize it. I could go into, as I say, it's metaphysical. So anyway, I'll just leave that as it is. But I do want to say, if I may, that I started a book that I pulled off the shelf. I've had it 10 years and haven't read it. I could say the author and the title if you want, but it very much echoed what you're saying, Michael, tonight and at other times, and if others are saying on this. Basically, you know, there's presence. We can say we are presence. One might say that. And then this me, you know, is constructed, you know, it has parents who are unconscious and don't fulfill its needs, and pretty soon it becomes, you know, it quote unquote becomes an ego, just like, you know, mom and dad and everyone else. And this author is suggesting that being just present, knowing that it's the ego, the mind, talking about stuff that is taking us away from presence, and that's one step. And the next is to kind of let these deep emotions and so forth not suppress them, not judge them, and sort of come up and dissipate. And the idea is just we are present, and to know that the mind, the thoughts, you know, are the me and our illusion. You know, yes, we function in the world, you know, but I think more and more one is established, you know, that's identity is pure presence, and it has nothing to do with story and me and past and future and the ego, you know. And I don't know, I'm not explaining it very well, but it's quite an impressive piece on practical spirituality and psychology, I would say. Okay, it's Leonard Jacobson's Journey into Now, since you insist.
I just wanted to, okay, I have noticed for me, whenever I resist anything, I suffer. No matter what it is, if I resist it, I suffer. So if somebody is really invested in a candidate, maybe I shouldn't use your example, but I will. You know, it hurts for that person. I mean, they're running a story and they're really invested. And can I kind of be with them and say, gosh, this must feel really bad for you, and just kind of fall into that. And I don't think I have to say I'm not a person or this or any of that stuff, but just seeing their own pain or they're losing, and can I just, you know, I just know if I resist anything, I suffer, and I don't want to do that. But if I can see their story, it really helps me. And not that I always do that, but that's been my experience.
Alice, I love that. I love that. And I want to actually just say that when you're empty, that's what we're pointing at, is that you're actually empty. There's no one inside that body right there. It's empty, guys. And when you realize that emptiness, then, like Alice is saying, you're available to be there in a real way for others, because you're not filled with opinions and hot air and other beliefs. So if somebody's saying, I need this candidate to win, oh, okay. And like you're saying, Alice, you don't have to go into any story about the, oh, there's no me. Just you being a kind ear, an empty vessel, that can do magic. I mean, I don't know, Diane, have you ever had appointments where you really didn't say anything and afterwards the person said, thank you so much, you were so helpful?
Yes, quite a lot. Because, you know, I deal with a lot of me's every day, and it's just listening to the story, and you can just see how much suffering there is by trying to control everything. It's huge. And I just had a session with someone this morning that, you know, on the scheme of the world's problems, it was quite a big problem. She had a daughter who was actually murdered years ago, and the person is getting out of jail soon, and she has to go and, you know, do something about writing letters and whatever. And I could see all the sadness coming up. And she's a serial client of mine who's a smoker. Every time some stress happens, she has a cigarette and comes back. And so she's coming and going and coming and going. She's relying on me every time to just magically hypnotize her and go back, which for some reason seems to work for her. But stress happens and she's back. And as soon as she walked in, it's like a memory, like, you remember what happened to my cat? And it's like, yeah, I do, but that was like a year ago. And so that happened. And it's all these things. Ariel fell on the roof, and a grandson that's living with her, and all of these stuff. And so this sadness came up. And what I did with her was just let her close her eyes and just bring her attention into the feeling in the body, which is, you know, it's part of an anxiety inquiry that Scott Killaby teaches, which is a lot of what I use for people in this situation. And as she watched, that feeling subsided because she wasn't thinking. And it's just showing her that it's thoughts and feelings that she is reacting to. And if she can just hold that presence for a moment, let go of thinking and be with that feeling, which is what we were talking about, it just subsides. And she was quite surprised. I said, well, see, you don't need a cigarette to get rid of that. You don't actually need to do anything except look at it and don't resist it. But it feels to her, because it's, you know, it's a very emotional thing when you have that happen. It's like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the feeling. It's just you're afraid of a feeling. That's what's happening. You're resisting the feeling. You're not allowing the sadness to even be there. So it's just this fight going on, and it's really a huge thing. But, you know, I think we had a little bit of a breakthrough in just, you know, and whether or not she will continue to do that, I don't know. But it is something that is a practice that you can do to pull yourself out of identifying with those things in the moment. And that begins to show you that you are not your thoughts and feelings after a while. I mean, once you continue to do it, something has to change over time, because I know that's what I did for a very long time, was just observe my reactions to things and stay in a neutral place, observing, and something changes. It's just a practice that's quite helpful, but it reveals something in the practice, I think. So yeah, thoughts and feelings, that's a me. Thoughts and feelings are what the me is made of, and you're not that.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, Diane, what changes or what gets noticed is you become more attuned to the difference between your actual experience and story. Mm-hmm. And I would say that most people cannot discern the difference. Just like you were saying, there is upset about something that happened to their cat a year ago as if it had happened just this morning. There's no distinction between that. And I'm telling you, if you want freedom, you have to be able to notice when your mind is in memory, in story. Because there is no past and there is no future. And there isn't actually even a now. There's literally just what's happening. And it never stops. So that's why we say there's not even really a now, because a now implies it's like, okay, right now is how it really is. Oh, wait, it's a new moment. Okay, right. You can't. So again, I always use the analogy of a river. The river has never stopped moving, ever.
Yeah, Muji wrote a book called Writing on Water. As
Yeah,
soon as you write it, it's gone. As soon as you write it, it's gone.
yeah. So even these words, I want to bring this home, guys. I want to bring this really intimately. Right now, the words that are being spoken by all of us, who is speaking them? Where are these sounds coming from? What makes them?
I want to point out, or there is no talker or listener. There is no talking and no listening. No, let me go back. There is not somebody talking and there's not somebody listening. There is only talking and speaking and listening.
That's right. Now that's magical. Do you guys see the difference? I'm telling you, when this hits you, it's like, because suddenly you realize it's the same one that animates all beings. So whether it's a spider, or it's you, or it's your spouse, or a client, it's the same source for all beings. And we can say it's the sourceless source. So nothing appearing as everything doesn't have room for you. So by everything and nothing, nothing and everything, that's not knowable. You can't know that. You can't understand that. You can't figure it out. That's what makes this so different than everything else. Satsang is the one place where you're told, don't bother trying to figure it out because it can't be figured out. Don't bother trying to understand this. It's not logical. It can't be understood. A cake recipe can be understood. Everything being nothing and nothing being everything simultaneously cannot be understood by the mind. Dan, you have anything to add?
No, not really. I'm just interested in how everybody is hearing, like what you just said. You know, what does that bring up? Does it bring up anything? Because I mean, that's the opposite of what we live 24/7. We don't live, you know, I mean, we may have the understanding somehow that, well, there's no job for me here. There's no way to manage. This me is always trying to manage this life, this moment, and it can't be managed. The me doesn't. So we say, okay, now I see that it doesn't make sense, but that's not the end of the story, because that me is still here. You know, that energy of the me is still here. So yeah, I'm just, you know, that's kind of like the job of all of this, is to how to let the me, you know, go. Show it. How do we show it the door so it's not, so that energy isn't kind of still running the life, or I don't know how everybody, you know, might put it for themselves, but I mean, well, I don't know. So I'm putting out the question, you know, when we hear this thing about, well, gee, this me really doesn't exist and there's no job for the me, where does that leave us? And I mean, I'd like to hear from somebody just, you know, how does that work for you?
Presence will more and more inform the me's actions. But as I was just reading all in this book, as you'll often hear that, you know, it's harmful to talk, and you're not saying this about killing the me or so forth. You're saying Jesus had a me, Buddha had a me. If Ramana Maharshi didn't have a me, they'd say, hey, Ramana, and he, you know, wouldn't hear it, and he tried to put, you know, food in his ear or something. You know, there's a certain sense of meanness that's okay, but it's completely put back in place instead of usurping the whole show, which it does, you know, typically. But I don't know if I'm saying anything instructive by this, but it seems to me that the more that the presence is established as the reality, then the me will recede into its proper place.
So it's actually the other way around, Ed. As the me thins out, as the me is seen through, we could say even dissolves like a salt doll into the ocean, the less me, the more presence, to use your word, Ed.
Well, I would agree with that. I think I don't know. I don't think I'm contradicting that, but you know, but you know, whatever.
I'm just saying that is the sweet smell, the sweet perfume. When you get the scent that the less you, the happier you are.
This has been just an amazing session for me. I see now more clearly by not resisting what came up today. I didn't, the me became softer. I mean, there was no me really there by agreeing, yeah, this must really hurt and blah, blah, blah. And that's why I could leave that and feel good. So perhaps it's best for me in my own life to see those times when the me asserts itself, it always hurts. So just to be more keenly aware when that happens, and just watch it, not make it wrong or anything, but just notice. Anyway, that's what I'm kind of getting from this satsang tonight.
Beautiful. Thanks, Alice. Well, yeah, but you were almost like a demonstration because you were willing to be with somebody and just listen without agenda. And the me always has an agenda.
I think for my current understanding, I put it all together as the awakening process, right? So becoming more aware or to be more present and to get not trapped in the me, right? I would call it the me, the ego, the personality of who we think we are, which is all an illusion because, right, like the less me, because there isn't a me, but the suffering is involved in thinking that there is a me and everything is personal, right? So as soon as so the awakening process, it's, so every day we become more aware, so there will be less me, right? Less ego, less personality involved, and more presence, more awareness. And as this goes on, the me kind of goes back and we're able to sit back and become the witness or the noticer. And we're just noticing what's happening. And we get into this state of the noticer, which the noticer isn't judging, right? The me judges. The me always wants something, it cannot be fulfilled. But when we sit back into the state of the observer, the witness, or the noticer, different ways to call it, we can kind of just let everything unfolds naturally, and it feels so liberating because nothing is actually personal because there isn't a me. And I think that the process doesn't happen overnight. It happens and it builds and it accumulates slowly.
Mhm.
Ego will try to appropriate the witness. It seems I'm the witness, I'm so aware. That's the ego. But as you say, I think it does happen. I think personally, it's been happening some with just identifying as, and in dreams and so forth. That there's the witness or presence, and then there's the ego or the personality, and there's that metaphor or what have you in what Hinduism, where two birds, two birds sit on a branch. One eats the bitter and sweet fruits of life. The other one looks on impassively. So it seems to me that that may be the condition at all times, but it seems there is a progression into becoming or realizing one is the one bird that looks on impassively while the other one, goes through whatever it goes through in life.
Well, we could say a little bit more. For one, the me doesn't believe that this is wholeness. No way, says the me. But think about it, guys. How would this not be wholeness? Just because a me has a thought that says this isn't wholeness, do you think that's really true?
The me has this model of how everything should be, right? How people should act. Like it has an opinion, it has to take a side. And when some model or when something doesn't goes according to the me's expectation, then that is really threatening to its identity, to its reality. And it's panicking. It's trying to do more, or trying to save itself.
Yeah. So the hope here at Satsang is that you try as hard as you can to be the best me you could possibly be. Gold stars, medals, light shining out your head, all that. And then when you grow incredibly frustrated that you can't do it, you're not able to actually achieve this super state of awakening, you give up. That's the whole point of the journey, guys. It's unbelievable. You're going to end up right back here. You know, that you never went anywhere, but yet somehow the journey had to unfold, even though you're back in the same place. And it does look the same, and yet it's completely different because the me's not here. The me's like an overlay. The me is like a constriction to the moment, and it has a tension to it that's uncomfortable. And you can't hide it. If you're a me, I mean, you can try alcohol or, you can try and distract yourself, but it always needs more. You need more alcohol, more distraction, more stories. It's just never enough. So at Satsang, when it's a surrender. It's I don't know anymore. I give up. I don't have a model. In other words, try all your models, do all the tricks. And then when none of them work, you realize, oh, no model. No model. Now, your mind's going to try and bluff you. It may bring up fear. No, you need me. Don't think about getting rid of me. But is it true? Is that voice in the head really you? Is that feeling, even the feeling? So we're acknowledging, you can feel like there's a me here. So what? So what? If there's a feeling there that feels like a you, first of all, how do you know what a me feels like? You know because your brain is telling you this is a me and this is what it feels like. Do you need a me for this moment? This is my question. What would happen if there was no me here? Would you disappear? Yeah, you're saying, yeah, I'm not here, Michael.
No, I was nodding at something I was about to say. So me needs consciousness, but consciousness doesn't need me.
Yeah. Yeah, so in a way, the me is just another object that consciousness is aware of, if we want to use the word consciousness, right? I can be aware of an ice cream cone, I can be aware of a car, and I can be aware of a thing called the me. But if you actually look in this moment, and this is what you always want to do, is bring it back to this moment, can you find a me in this moment? Any other comments or questions before we close out this evening?
Just that there's a book called I think it's called What's Wrong with Right Now Unless You Think About It. Quite a poignant title. You may have heard it.
Yeah, that's Sailor Bob.
Sailor Bob, yeah.
So what
Just
you were just saying,
Thank you.
so what you were just saying, Michael, can I find a me in this moment? The answer is yes. And then but this me is appearing in wholeness. And it's okay to have a me in this moment. I mean, is that, I think that's what I would say. This moment is real and it's not real. Is that correct?
Well, I'm a little interested that you said you found the me.
Oh, that's true. It's a thought.
Yeah.
It's a thought that, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See, you're here whether that thought is there or not. Whether there's a me thought, oh, I'm thinking that. Or there's just this. So, I mean, I would say that there is there can be a period where it feels weird not to actually go to the me. It's sort of that Stockholm syndrome where I was talking about Stockholm syndrome where you develop this love for your captors. So, when they had a chance to make an escape from their kidnappers, they didn't because they had grown an affinity. So there's this affinity that we can have with this me, just because we thought we were it for so long, that there can be this reluctance, this cutting of deals. And the recommendation at Satsang is no deals. There is no me, period. I don't care what the me says. So start from there. Start from there isn't a me, and then notice the ways that, oh, well, I'm believing that there's a me, and that person's really offended me, and now I need to do something about that because I don't feel good, because the me is always subject to threat. You see, the me can get offended 100 different ways, by noon. So being a me is a rough job. There's no rest for the weary.
less mind, more heart. My mind thinking who this Jack in the Box is. That's the me. Who Jack is in the box, and other people's opinion, that's being Jack in the Box. Being out of the box, just watch and enjoy.
Yeah.
Not as the doer, just watch and enjoy.
The show. Yeah, all of it. So when we're watching a play, right? A play can have tragedy. Life has all of it, guys. It's a full course meal. You get the good with the bad. You can't have a roller coaster that just goes up. You need a roller coaster that goes up and down. That's it. That's the gig. And the me doesn't want that. The me only wants the roller coaster that goes up, that only has the good part. It doesn't want the down part. But life is the up and the down, the rain and the sun. It's all of it. What's wrong with rain? What's wrong with snow? What's wrong with cold? It's all there. It can be uncomfortable. What's wrong with being uncomfortable? Right? If uncomfortable is what's arising, right in this moment, if I'm uncomfortable, that's what is. What are you going to do? It's already the case. So resisting it's not going to help. I don't want to be uncomfortable. The freedom of not knowing. Thank you guys so much for coming to Satsang. I really appreciate it. Shout out to Alice and Amy, who's not here, for the donations. Really appreciate them. Thank you very much. You guys have a great evening, and I'll have this up on YouTube in the next 24 hours or so.
Thank you. See you guys.
Thank you, Michael.
Great. Thanks,
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
guys.
everyone.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.